and welcome to another episode of Sports Perspective. I'm Hayden Grove.
And I'm Franz Ross. Hayden, it looks like the Buckeyes have a chance to make their second straight Big Ten championship appearance following their win against Michigan State.
Yeah, they just need 3 more wins and they are guaranteed to make that Big Ten championship game. And I'm not going to go quite there yet, but I did go to East Lansing to provide the recap following Ohio State's stunner in Spartans Stadium. In the week heading into Ohio State's biggest game of this season, Urban Meyer didn't shy away from the challenge that faced the Buckeyes. Instead, he said that the most prepared team would win. Well, after 60 minutes of football here in East Lansing, it appears that the Buckeyes did their homework as they edged the Spartans by a final score of 49-37.
This is one for the ages. That's how much respect we had for our opponent going into it. We saw what they did. They had 1 loss and were actually winning that game until we got away from somehow out at Oregon. So we played a top 10 team and really played our best.
I've always liked being the underdog, you know, the whole world against you type feel. And I think if it did with our guys, it helped us, definitely.
It felt good just for what happened last year and to come out here in their house and everybody in the world expecting them to win, and we come out here and really kind of expose them a little bit and get the W, man. It feels great.
With the proverbial world against them, the Buckeyes strutted into Spartan Stadium with a confidence in their ability to win, but things didn't start out exactly how they wanted them to. A couple of unforced errors, including a misplayed punt and a missed field goal, put the Buckeyes in a 14-7 hole early on, but on a 3rd and 23 for the Scarlet and Gray, everything seemed to change. On that 3rd and 23, J.T. Barrett found Devin Smith down the field for 44 yards, and all of a sudden, the Buckeye offense came alive.
I told him, I was like, hey, you're to the field and run really fast, just because it jammed him, but not as much. And Devin, he does a pretty good job getting off.
So a little backyard, just draw it up, go.
Devin, go run really fast, and I'll throw you the ball.
Dontre and Evan and Jalen had some key plays, and I just felt, you know, the whole game they really couldn't hang with us. And I told Coach that we need to keep throwing it to us.
Smith accounted for 129 yards on 6 receptions and a touchdown that gave the Buckeyes a 28-21 halftime lead, but he certainly wasn't the only offensive force. Michael Thomas also caught a big touchdown to tie the game for the Buckeyes and said that before the play began, he knew he was taking it to the house.
I just had to do my job, run my route. I mean, I felt like no one can guard me. That's how I felt on that play.
While Thomas used his athleticism to score his touchdown, Smith's touchdown was a result of a beautiful pass from Barrett. And after number 16 threw for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns, both he and his leading receiver once again earned some healthy praise from Meyer.
JT, boy, is he playing well. 16 of 26, 300 yards throwing, and very accurate on the deep balls. And also Devin Smith, that's his best game that we've had in the last 3 years, and he's the best, if not the best, one of the best deep ball players we've ever had.
The passing game might have been the most prolific, but it certainly wasn't the most praised. That honor was bestowed upon the offensive line that, despite struggles all season long, paved the way for 295 yards and 4 touchdowns on the ground. 159 of those yards and 2 of those touchdowns belonged to Ezekiel Elliott, who had not a word to say about his own performance, but was more than happy to talk about the men up front.
I mean, it's really easy to do anything when those holes are that big and drive trucks through them. I love my big fellas, and hopefully they better keep playing well. They're the drum majors of our offense.
With a signature win finally on the resume, do the Buckeyes have enough, should they win out, to make an appearance in the first ever college football playoff? Well, they certainly seem to think so.
I think we proved that we could just show up and play on the big stage. I mean, that's out of our hands. All we can do is come out and win every week.
Oh, I don't know enough. I think it is because I love my team, and I don't know enough about. I haven't studied the other teams really, but if I have to go fight for this team, what they've done, very impressive. That darn loss, the second game. If that hurts us, then I'll take the hit for that.
We'll see where Ohio State stands in the latest college football playoff rankings that come out this Tuesday, but until then, the Buckeyes will prepare for the Minnesota Golden Gophers in Minneapolis. Until then, for the Lantern TV, I'm Hayden Grove. Immediately following the game against Michigan State, Coach Urban Meyer was already onto the Buckeyes' next matchup in Minnesota, and that was evident at the Woody Hayes Athletic Center on Monday during his Meyer Monday press conference. After Saturday's monumental win in East Lansing, the Buckeyes are firmly planted in the college football playoff conversation, but that doesn't necessarily mean that everything is wine and roses here at the Woody Hayes Athletic Center. Urban Meyer already has his sights set on the Minnesota Golden Gophers, and defensive coordinator Chris Ash seems to think the defense has a long way to go.
This is the most improved team that I've been a part of. This is a team that I've been fortunate to be around some championship level teams. They have a common characteristics, and they're grinders, and they get better each week. Those are championship level teams. So this is now once again, this could all be gone if we don't go out and continue to do what we do, and that's grind on a Tuesday and Wednesday and a Thursday. So
this year it's just focus on playing hard and focus on being a good teammate and trying to lead these guys and trying to make sure that other guys have that same mentality of just focus on what you can do, and the playoff system will be the playoff system, and it'll work out how it does.
Ohio State's impressive showing on Saturday was cause for a weekend of celebration for the Buckeyes, but the happy times were a bit short-lived on the defensive side of the ball, as Chris Ash repeated numerous times on Monday that despite the victory, he was very disappointed in how the Silver Bullets finished.
We played well enough to win the game, but we didn't play up to Ohio State standards Saturday night, and we're not measuring ourselves, on what others do. We're measuring ourselves on what we do, and Saturday we didn't play up to our full potential defensively for 4 quarters. We had spurts and we had moments that we played well enough there in the second and third quarter, like I said, but we have to play better. If we want to win at a high level and compete for championships, we have to play great defense, and that's both run defense and pass defense. And Saturday night we didn't play well enough as a defense, and we've got to do a better job.
Ash isn't the only one disappointed in the Ohio State defense, however.
Importantly, I got players that understand that we didn't play as well as we could on defense, and we expect to play much better.
The defense didn't do that well, so we have stuff to fix, but we won the game. So it's just a lot of roller coaster, happy and then kind of disappointed, but happy again.
The 536 yards that Michigan State put up on Saturday were only eclipsed by the 568 produced by the Ohio State offense, a group with which Meyer was very pleased.
It's the best performance we've had since we've been here. It's very balanced, and I think you have to. What I always like to do is, obviously statistically, I think we probably had more yards against other teams, but that was against a legitimate top 5 defense in America.
That offensive group was led by a front that offensive line coach Ed Werner said has really come together over this season. How have they done so?
That's why they call me coach. That's my job. I mean, help guys go where they can't take themselves. My job as a coach is to take players where they can't take themselves.
Well, we've just been working every week. It's been a focus on getting better and learning from these games that we've been playing. And I don't think we've been making the same mistakes that we have in the games before.
With Michigan State firmly in the rearview mirror, the Buckeyes enter a preparatory phase prior to playing the Minnesota Golden Gophers, who've definitely earned the respect of the Ohio State coaching staff.
To start, they're a well-coached offense. Their physical offense, I think Coach Kill's done a great job with that program. Watching that program develop over the last, 4 years that he's been there, he's done an outstanding job.
This is the first time I've coached against one of his teams, and it's everything you'd think of a Jerry Kill coach team. Relentless effort, very well coached. I haven't studied their offense yet, but special teams and defense are very, very good. Statistically, they're very good, and to do that to Iowa, who I think Iowa's a heck of a team, that tells you they got some momentum right now.
As was stated, the Buckeyes will travel to Minneapolis to take on the Minnesota Golden Gophers from the TCF Bank Stadium at noon. Until then, for Lantern TV, I'm Hayden Grove.
In addition to all the pigskin action over the weekend, the Ohio State men's basketball team kicked things off with an exhibition game at the Shot against Walsh University and debuted a new offense as well as a couple of new faces. In a 73-37 victory, transfer Anthony Lee, redshirt freshman Cameron Williams, freshman Jayshawn Tate, and freshman Keisha Bates-Diop all made their first appearances as Buckeyes, but there was one Ohio State newbie that stole the show. D'Angelo Russell, a 6'5" shooting guard from Louisville, Kentucky, and a 5-star recruit from the class of 2014, led the Buckeyes in points with 17, and rebounds with 8, and assists with 6 in 30 minutes of action. The Buckeyes will officially tip their regular season off this Friday as they take on UMass Lowell.
It was certainly a busy weekend at the Shot as the men's hockey team also hit the ice against the University of Nebraska-Omaha over the weekend, and our resident hockey reporter Evan Simkowitz was there to give us the Buckeye breakdown.
For the first time in 3 weeks, the Buckeyes were back on the ice at home, facing off against the Nebraska-Omaha Mavericks. Wearing special digital camouflage uniforms to honor the military on Friday night, the Buckeyes failed to score until the third period en route to a 4-1 loss.
Special teams play has been a crucial factor to the outcome of games early this season, and that did not change Friday night. Here's what head coach Steve Rallick said about that after the game.
They outworked us. It was as simple as that. They wanted it more than we did on the special teams, and when you have a team that works that hard and our guys kind of watched, you're going to see the results.
Despite giving up 4 goals, the Buckeyes only allowed 19 shots on goal. They commented on that discrepancy.
They didn't. To me, it felt like they didn't have it a lot 5-on-5 in our zone. There wasn't a lot of zone time, and so when you can limit their zone time, you're going to limit their shots, and that's what it kind of felt like.
Of our style and their style, so I mean, we both know that it's going to be a grinding, hard-working game, so it's kind of something that we should be anticipating. But it's our style. It's definitely something we need to work harder at. We should be winning more of those battles in the corners. That's just how we practice every day, so that should be no surprise to us.
After completing this series, the Buckeyes will have their second in-state battle of the season this week versus the Bowling Green Falcons. Puck drops in Game 2 of that series here at the Schottenstein Center at 7:05 on Saturday night. Until then, for Lantern TV, I'm Evan Simkowitz.
As the fall semester closes and the winter weather cools in here on campus, the winter sports are starting to heat up. On Friday, men's basketball officially begins their regular season with a matchup against UMass Lowell, while women's basketball heads to Charlottesville, Virginia, to take on the Virginia Cavaliers. Men's hockey also plays on Friday as they take on the Bowling Green Falcons. On Saturday, not only does the Ohio State football team take on the Minnesota Golden Gophers, the Ohio State women's hockey team will host Minnesota as well. Then women's volleyball heads to Ann Arbor for a hard-court version of the game. And on Sunday, women's basketball heads back to Columbus to take on St. Francis of Pennsylvania, and men's fencing takes part in the OSU Invitational. Hayden, I'm sure a lot of Buckeyes fans are saying right now, you beat Michigan State, now they're just looking forward to that Big Ten championship, where they'll likely be facing the Nebraska Cornhuskers, but they still have 3 games to go. Now, what do you think is going to be the Buckeyes' biggest challenge against their next opponent in the Minnesota Golden Gophers?
I think the biggest challenge is just focusing on Minnesota. They got a lot of distractions, a lot of playoff talk at this point after winning that 1-game season that we talked about. They won. The season's over if you're talking about 1-game season, but it's not a 1-game season, of course. They got 3 big games left. Minnesota on the road in Minnesota. I mean, that's not something they should take lightly. I think Urban Meyer's done a pretty good job of keeping his guys focused on a week-by-week basis, so I think they'll be fine. They have the talent advantage. They just got to really focus on what's ahead of them.
I'll tell you what my biggest challenge for them is. It's not X's and O's, it's degrees, sub-freezing temperatures that they're going to face up there in Minneapolis. They say, what is it, the high is 24?
High is 24. 24 degrees. I don't know how I'm going to make it. I'll be fine, but geez, oh man.
Yeah, it's an outdoor stadium, so hopefully don't get too many icicles under you at that game. And the low is 12, so Minnesota's a cold weather team, so they'll be more prepared than Ohio State, but I'm sure that they're going to, maybe Urban Meyer will throw ice at them during practices or something in the next week or so.
He'll have them prepared, I'm pretty sure. I just don't know if I'm going to be prepared. I'm from Florida. This Minnesota thing has me scared. But that's going to do it for this week's episode of Sports Perspective. Be sure to tune in next week for all of your coverage from the frozen tundra that is Minnesota and another look at the Buckeye basketball team in its early stages. Be sure to check out Chalk Talk for all of your sports coverage on campus as well. For Franz Ross, Aaron Yarin, and the entire crew at the Lantern TV, I'm Hayden Grove.